Today we are going to invite some diplomats to our houses to show them our beasts. Now, we need to show them the beasts that they want to see, because otherwise, well, we won't score at the end of the game. If you manage to invite the right diplomats and show them the right beasts, well, you will get scores at the end of the game. If you have the most points, well, you will win this pretty cool and quite different game, I would say. This game here will hit crowdfunding quite soon, and what I have here in front of me is just a prototype. It's a pretty well-made prototype, but nonetheless, it is still a prototype, meaning that some things might change from what you see today to what you will have on your table. In this video here, I am gonna show you how to set up this game and how to play this game, and hopefully give you an idea of what this game is about. So let's just take a look at this. First, we need to connect all the boards and place them out on the table. We start by creating a supply of ore next to the table. We take the Diplomats cards looking like this and place them on their designated space out on the board. We then do the same thing with the quest cards, the environment deck, the personal cards, the trader deck, and lastly the beast cards as well. But since there are 120 of these cards, we split them up into two piles. We also create a supply of king favors and also king medals, again next to the board. We take the time of day tracker, but also the day tracker D6 die, and place them next to the board for now. And now it's time for us to set up our player area. First, we need to choose a color that we would like to represent. In this case here, red. And then we take our home base, meaning this little tile here. Next to this tile is where you will place your trader, but also your diplomats. In the center, this is where you will place your workers, meaning these little meeples right here. Depending on how many players there are in a game, there will be a different amount of workers. You should put all the workers except 2 of them into your home base and leave the 2 outside. Next, we need to form our starting hands. We need to take 2 diplomats, 1 beast, 1 personal, and 1 trader card. These are drawn from the top of each of these decks out on the table. At the start of the game, you also get 5 ore per worker, so in this case 15. Next, you also need to find your knight, corresponding to the color of your home base. Now, on the one side, you can see your knight. This is who you represent. And on the other side, you can find a cage. This is where you can place beasts in the future of the game. Besides the cage and your home base, you will also need 1 environmental card. Again, these are taken at random from the top of the deck, and you place them next to your cage. Here you will also be able to have beasts in the future. Last thing we need to do is to put out these high priority spot blockers on these high priority spots. Now this is where you in the future of your gameplay can place your meeples. But as you can see up here, we have some player counts, meaning that if this is just a solo game, you should actually block out all of these spots. But in this case here, for example, we have a 4-player game, so we should block out the 6th spot, keeping 4, 2, and 1. The last thing we need to do before we can start to play is to determine the starting order. We will do this by rolling a d6. If you get the highest number, you will end up on the top. If you get the lowest, you will be at the bottom. The starting player will be the one at the top. This will be determined all the way by rolling this die, meaning that if you get a low number, you end up at the bottom. If you get a higher number, you will end up at the top positions. If there ever is a tie between any player when they roll the die, we simply keep on rolling until one get a higher result than the other player. Depending on where you ended up on the turn order, you will also receive some starting ore. Well, if you are the first player, you actually get nothing. But the rest of the players will get starting ore. And some of the players will actually also start with 1 king's favor. All depending on where you end up on the turn track. But you can read more about this in the rulebook. Then we need to take the d6 and put it on the first day with 1 pip showing. We need to take the turn track and put it on its specific spot. We then take the time of day token and put it on the number 1. And then each player needs to put their 2 extra workers on day 2 and day 3. These will be available later in the game. We are in the world of Aterra. You are portraying as a knight. There is a festival in this world where these diplomats are setting out to be amazed. Your job in this game is to capture these beasts right here. Now all of these beasts will have their own attributes. Some of them are fire, water, and so on. Now each of these attributes will impress different types of diplomats. And if you manage to impress them enough, you will get influence. The influence will get you points at the end of the game. Or the influence are points, because whoever have the most influence in the end of the game is the winner of the game. This game will last for 3 days. In the game, that is, not in real life, because man, that would be a long game. No, in the game, you have 3 days to capture beasts, invite diplomats, and amaze them. If you, during these 3 days, manage to amaze the most diplomats and get the most influence, you are the winner of the game. So as you see, in this game there are quite a few deck of cards here. And I think that we should take a look at all the different cards before we look at the actual gameplay, just so you know what the cards actually mean and what they do. So this here could be your future beast. In the center we see an awesome artwork of the beast. At the bottom we see the name. The bottom left corner we see the maintenance cost of having this beast in your home. In the top left corner we see the influence. This is the influence that you will receive in the end of the game if you have this beast in your home. Here we see the elements, the color, and the habitat of this beast. These attributes here are what you need to have to be able to impress the different diplomats. And you can see at the bottom of their cards what will impress them. In this case here, Alvan, I think it's pronounced, wants to see this happening from the different beasts. Meaning that we can fulfill one of the attributes that she's looking for, but not the rest. The colors does not match and the habitats are different as well. Now at the top of the card, this will be what this diplomat is. In this case here, this is a royal diplomat. Now depending on which type of diplomat you have in your house, you will get different rewards at the end of the game. Meaning the influence, 6 being the highest. So if you have this diplomat in your house, you have been able to fulfill whatever she wants to see, you would receive 6 influence. Next we have the traders. Now these traders here, they want to buy your beast. And they will pay quite a lot of ore for it. If you manage to sell a beast to these traders, you would receive influence as well. And up here you can see the main criteria. Meaning that the beast that you would like to sell would need to have at least that criteria to be able to sell it to this trader. In this case here, well, we're able to do just that. Down here we have bonus criterias, meaning that if we would have had fulfilled this as well, which we clearly don't, but if we had, we would have been able to get some extra ore as well. Meaning that we would get the 2 for the main criteria, plus whatever bonus criteria we would manage to fulfill. And whenever you manage to complete a sale successfully, well, you will get the influence points stated in the bottom right corner at the end of the game. And then we have the personal cards. Now there's 3 different types of personal cards in this game. This one here is the single-use one. At the bottom of the card, you can see the effect that this card will give you. You can only play this card at certain times during the day. In this case here, you can only play it during the 2 last parts of a day. Once you have played this card, you have used your action, and the card will actually be trashed. The next one we have is Environment Personal. Now, depending on which symbol you have up here, you can connect these cards to either an environment or an cage. Now, you will connect the environment or cage on these spaces here, but they will cost you. You can see the cost for playing the card here, and you can only play these cards in the afternoon. But if you are able to fulfill these demands, well then, you can connect your cage or environment, depending on what you're playing, to that card. And now you will get these bonuses here. You will get +1 ore during this phase stated next to the ore, and also 6 victory points at the end of the game. Lastly, we have the Beast Personals. Again, they will cost you, but you will be able to connect your beast to this card. And they will give you whatever ore it says here. Of course, it could differ depending on which personal you play, but this personal will actually change one of your elements on your beast to whatever it's showing here. We also have quests in this game that are actually secret. These here are a great way for you to collect influence points. Up here you can see how much influence you will get. In this case here, each pair of carnivores would give you +4 influence points. And lastly, we have the cages and environments. Now this is where you will actually house your beasts. Throughout the game, you can only have one cage, and you cannot sell it. But you can acquire more environments as the game goes on. Up here is the area where the beast would be placed. Like this, for example. The cage and the environment can only hold one beast at a time. There's simply just space for one. The environment can be bought during the afternoon phase, and they will cost you 3 ore each. And there is no limit to how many environments that you can have. And if you are short 1 ore, you can actually sell 1 empty environment for 1 ore each. In the bottom left corner of the environment, you can see the maintenance cost for the environment. But the cage will not have any maintenance cost. And with that, we are ready to take a look at the actual gameplay. Now, a day starts at dawn, which it usually does, right? And this is where we will get quests. Now, at the start of the game, you won't have any quests on your hand, but you will draw 2 quest cards and keep them secret for yourself. Now, once you have looked at these cards, you should discard down to 1 card. When you will do this during day 2, you will have 1 card on your hand. You will then draw 2 new quest cards, but this time you need to discard down to 2 cards on your hand. During day number 3, you will already have 2 quest cards. Here again, you draw 2 new quest cards, but this time you discard down so you have 3 quest cards on your hand. And you will draw quest cards according to the turn order, going from top to bottom. Every time you discard a quest, meaning that you choose not to choose this quest, well, you put it in the center of the play area. At any point, the following players can exchange their own quest with the ones that are visible in this now created market. Once every player have chosen a quest and they choose not to take this one, well, this quest will be trashed. During your turn, when you draw the quest cards, you can also play personal cards in front of you if you would like to. And this will not end your turn. But you will still need to end the turn with the same amount of quest cards as it is the day. So if it is the second day, well then you would need to end with 2 cards. The quests that you have chosen goes on top of your home base. Once everybody have their quests, we go into the morning phase. We start by moving this cube down one step, indicating that now we have changed the phase. In this phase, the first thing we need to do is to fill up all the card placements, meaning that we should draw the top cards from each of the specific piles and fill up all of the card spaces out on the board with their designated cards, until the board is completely filled up with cards and looks something like this. Once we have filled up all the spaces out on the board with cards, it's time for the players to deploy their little workers here, out on the board itself. Again, we will go according to the turn order. In turn order, we will take one of our little available meeples in our little home base here and place them out on an available drafting area on the board where we would like to deploy our worker. So out on the board, you have different deployment areas. You got one for beasts, one for traders, diplomats, and so on. On these spaces here, you can put your workers to be able to draft cards from that deployment area in the future. This track here can have an unlimited amount of workers on it. But these priority spots here can only have one worker per spot. This is because that if you place your meeple here, you are able to draft one card in the area that is attached to this deployment area. But on the priority spots, you will get to draft a card, plus you will also get one King's Favor. And when you have 3 of these King's Favors, you can exchange them for one King's Medal. And each of these King's Medals are worth 3 influences at the end of the game. So if I place my meeple here, I would get one King's Favor, plus I would be able to draft a beast. This one here, for example. Now these spots here do not refill immediately. If you have sent out all of your workers on the different deployment areas and you feel like you're still not done, well, you can actually draft more. And you will do this by relocating one of your workers out on the board to a different drafting zone. But it will cost you. You need to pay 5 ores to be able to do this, or discard 2 cards from your hand. This can be any combination of cards that you would like to discard, as long as it is 2. Now when we discard cards, we discard them in the center of the play area for all the other players to see. Just like we did with the quest cards, remember? Because now these cards can be drafted by the other players around the table during later turns. Once you have done this, well, you would take your little worker here, place it in a different area, but this time you need to place it laying down. And now you cannot move that worker anymore during this phase, because it's simply too tired to work, man. Give it a rest. If all of your workers are exhausted because they have worked so much during the day, well, that player will be granted one King's Favor. And remember, these can become influence in the future. Once the morning is over, every player gets their little worker back home. When we have returned all the little meeples here to our homes, we also need to clear all the markets from the cards that are out there, because they need to be wiped clean and ready for new cards. During the morning, you could also choose to play any personal cards from your hand. Just remember that they need to be able to be played during the morning phase to be able to be played at all. Once you have done everything you want to do, or if you can't do anything else, well, you would need to pass. When you pass, you get 1 ore, unless you are the last player to pass. And passing is actually not permanent. If other players do actions, you get your turn back, and you can choose to pass again, or relocate or use a personal card. But if you pass again, you collect 1 more ore. And once all the players have passed and done everything that they would like to or they can, well, we would move into the next phase, which is the noon phase. And when we move into a new phase, yes, you guessed it, we move the token 1 step down. So during the noon phase, this is where we can invite these diplomats into our home or our exhibition so they can see what type of beasts we have. if you want to, because you don't need to place in diplomats here if you don't want them. But they are one of the main sources to scoring influence at the later part of the game. So they are good to implement every now and then. When you add them into your home, you put them on the right side of your home token. Remember? You can see this easily by looking at the bottom part of this token. Traders to the left, diplomats to the right. Now, when you add a new diplomat here, you put them on top of each other. So you can see the bottom part, because this part is actually the most important, remember? Once these match up, the beasts elements over here, you have made them satisfied, and you will receive whatever influence they have in the end of the game. So it's quite important for you to get the right diplomats into your house. You don't just want anybody in there, because if you don't fulfill everything they want to see here at the bottom, well, you will not get the influence points. And if you have one of these diplomats on the table in front of you and you do not fulfill their needs, well, you will actually lose the 10 influence bonus points that you would get if you managed to fulfill all of them. But if you do not place them on the table in front of you, they will actually cost you maintenance. They will cost you 3 maintenance, as you can see at the back of the card. But if they are in your house on the table, they will cost you nothing. And then they will actually give you a little bonus ore as well. Because in the afternoon phase, they see your beasts and they are so amazed that they are throwing ore at you. And these diplomats will actually react on all the beasts around the table, not just the ones that you have in your exhibition, which just makes sense, right? I mean, there's a lot of exhibitions going on. They might already have seen something they like, and then they see yours as well, and they just get all crazy and start throwing ore on you. But that's the way this works. So here you can actually have a little eye on the other players to see what type of beasts they have, so you can get the right reactions you want to from the diplomats, from your own beasts, but also their beasts. But once you have placed one of these in your house, well, there's only 2 ways to get them out of there. Either you need to pay 10 ores to get them out, or play a personal card with the exile ability. And with that, we move into the afternoon phase. You move the track token. You already know this. I don't need to say it every time, right? Well, during this phase, you do quite a lot of things, if you can. You could also choose to place a beast from your hand, either into one empty environment or into your cage. Just remember that in your cage, you can only have a beast that has a maintenance cost of 2 or lower. And you can only have 1 cage, remember? But the environment has no limits. You could choose to play the personal cards from your hand to either train the beasts and learn them something new, or change their abilities, remember? You can also choose to swap environments on your beast, meaning that you could transfer it from an environment into the cage, or from the cage to another environment. But if there is already another beast in the environment or cage that you would like to swap this to, well, they will swap places. And if the card, meaning the beast that you want to swap, has a personnel card attached to it, well, that personnel will go along with the beast, which just makes sense, right? Now you could also choose to sell your beast to a trader and get whatever rewards you can get. But remember, you need to have at least the top condition to be able to sell the beast at all. You could also choose to just trash your beast instead. In this case, you would get 2 ore or the maintenance cost, whichever is lowest. If you have an empty environment out in front of you, well, you could choose to sell that one as well. And you would sell this for 1 ore. And then you would place this in the bottom of the environment deck. During the afternoon, you can take as many of these actions that I have just told you that you can and that you want to. But during the afternoon phase, you only get 1 time to do this. 1 action according to this little track here, remember? So when it is your turn, make sure that you use it to the fullest. Now, at the end of the afternoon, this is where the little diplomats here reacts on your beast, remember? So this is where you would get whatever ore they would give you. For example, if you play a yellow beast, this diplomat here would give you 1 ore. But if another player around the table also would play a yellow beast, well, she would actually give you 1 more. How kind of her. And with that, we proceed into the evening phase. Again, we move the token 1 step down. And now we kind of do a little maintenance phase here, because now we need to pay maintenance, but hopefully we get a little bit of income as well. First thing we need to do is to check if we get any income, because some of these personals will actually give you an income now. As you can see here, the collector would give you +4 ore right now. Next step would of course be to see how much maintenance cost we have. So we would need to add up our beast's maintenance cost, but also our environmental maintenance cost, and add this together. But some of these personals will actually have abilities that will subtract this amount as well. Like the songwriter here, for example. She would take your maintenance cost and withdraw 3 from it. But in this case here, well, we do not have any personal like that. But you could also choose to play a personal card now, because some of these personals will also give you more discounts. But you also need to pay maintenance for the cards that are on your hand. And you can see the maintenance cost on the back of these cards. Now, this means that there can actually be quite a lot of maintenance costs if you have a lot of cards on your hand, if you have a lot of environments and beasts. Be ready to pay up a lot. Now, if you can't do this, pay the amount, well, you can of course play the little personal cards here, they might save you. You can choose to sell a beast now as well. And you can sell it to a trader, or you can just sell it for ore, basically trashing it like I showed you before. You could also choose to transfer them and move things around however you want to. You can do that now, pretty much to save your skin. And with that, we are ready to end our day, because we have been working so hard and we're just exhausted, right? The first thing we need to do is to change the turn track. Whoever has the most ore, meaning the richest player in the game, well, that player becomes the last player and ends up at the bottom. And this is the way we will progress up, meaning that the poorest player will be number 1 and the richest will be in the bottom. Serves them right, right? But we also have some final steps on this board here. First we need to move the die to the second day, and now having 2 pips facing up. This little token here goes all the way back up to dawn again. Plus we would now need to give out the meeples to each player, so we have 1 more worker to exhaust during our next endeavors. And then we would start a new day again. Getting ready, setting up, putting up the cards here, getting out the workers. And once we have gone through the 3 different days, well then we are ready to start calculating the scores. And that is quite a big job. You need to calculate all of the little diplomats here where you have actually fulfilled their requirements according to whatever beasts you have. You also have personal scores, you can have trader scores, you can have the little quest scores here, remember? There are quite a few ways for you to score in this game, but also to lose influence as well, because some of these cards will withdraw influence for you. But I will let you figure that out all by yourself. In this pretty cool game here, you also have a family mode. This is a mode where you can play with the younger kids instead. It's a little bit more simpler, there's not as many cards, and it's an easy way for them to come into the game. Even though an adult would need to be along it, because you need somebody to just steer the game and keep a little reminder on the rules. And of course there is a solo mode in this one as well. It pretty much works out just the way I've shown you now, but you don't have the same amount of quests, plus you can't rely on the other players when it comes to the reaction from the diplomats. Here it's all on you. And that, my friend, is how you play Beasts of Diplomacy, which is quite a nice game. There's a lot of things for the players to do here. There's a lot of things going on out on the table. There is quite a lot of interaction between the players as well, because you got the whole working setup here where you're trying to steal the best positions, you're trying to get the best cards. You can use the other player's beast to get the reactions from your diplomats, and there is a lot of different combinations between the personal cards here, but also with the beast, where you can get extra points, you can get more ore, you can finish up the quests. There's a lot of things for the players to do here. And I would say that there is quite a lot of replayability here, because depending on how you choose to play your game or where you want to score, well, the games will look quite different. And with that, we enter the end of day phase, and we say goodnight to Beast of Diplomacy. I hope that this video have helped you on figuring out how this game works, what you can do in it, and hopefully I can help you to get into the game and set it up for your future game night. How are you going to do it? Are you going to back this? Or are you going to look it up? Well, tell me in the comments. Check it out. If you want to know more about the game or the campaign, well, check out the links down in the description and it will take you straight to it. If you like my video, give it a thumbs up, throw a comment, whatever you want to. But most importantly, my friend, please remember to keep on spreading that board gaming love I know you all have. Peace out.